Hi guys, it's Fightsci here again with another video, and today we're doing a little bit of a different topic. We're breaking down Ankalaev and Periera. Yes, you probably thought you would never hear me talk about MMA, yet here we are. But before I get into that, there's a few things I want to talk about before we get into that. One of them being where I've been. So I feel like I have to let me explain. I do apologize for the hiatus. I've been going through a lot of personal shit. I'll open up a little bit to you guys, maybe not get too personal. I've been dealing with a lot of personal shit. Some of it I will not mention on here because it's not that kind of channel, and this is not a story time channel. On my old channel, I'm not telling you guys what my old channel was. It's a bit embarrassing, but I used to post up story times on that channel. Most of them were untrue, but I'm getting ahead, going off on a tangent. I could tell you guys a lot of crazy stories, but to be honest, man, work has been difficult. Working 40 hours from being especially like 2023, 2024. You could see there was, when I started my new job, which is a full-time job, whereas before I was working like max 35 hours, and I was working at a supermarket at one point. I was only working like 20 hours, and I got out like 9 videos over the span of like 5 months, where I've been at my job now 14 months, and this is only going to be the 13th video I've uploaded. I don't want this to take up too much of the runtime, and not to mention there's been a few more deaths in the family. I lost one of my friends. I don't want to say how he died, but he ended up dying, one of my friends, and one of my family members ended up dying. So between that and work and other personal issues I'd rather not delve into, because it's really nobody's business. That's kind of what I've been going through, but I feel like just saying personal like I've been going through personal shit and kind of leaving it vague is kind of unfair to you guys that have been with me from the beginning, all 97 of you. But anyway, let's just get into this video. Also, quick announcement. We are 3 away from 100 subs. In the grand scheme of things, doesn't mean a whole lot, but I remember on my old channel, I wanted to hit 100 subs and stay at 100 subs, and given how I don't have that many unsubs, I'm going to do something very special. I'll see if I can get my friend Hadrian to collaborate on my next video, or I don't know if it'll be the next video. There might be a filler video, boxing politics, in between, but yes, there is going to be a 100 sub special, probably around October. But anyway, let's just get into the intro of the video. But anyway, let's get into the fight. So, what led up to this fight? Ankalaev being the Caveman, and Periera being the Totem Pole man. What led up to this fight? Well, to make it brief, because I've already done enough blabbing, Periera had, he had already racked up 3 title defenses at light heavyweight, him being a very successful Hall of Fame Pride kickboxing fighter, and Ankalaev being better be as I don't want to get too crazy with the humor, but yeah, I think he's from like Chechnya or something like that, or like mainland Russia, but he works with like Habib Nurmagomedov, I'm not going to try to say that even, Islam Makhachev, and those other guys from Dagestan. He works with them. I don't not believe he is from Dagestan, but somewhere along mainland Russia, or like, the Caucasus, like Chechnya, I'm almost certain. This fight was only inevitable. Ankalaev getting robbed. He only got a draw in the fight against some Polish guy. I don't remember his name. I'll probably include it in the post production or editing. But yeah. So that's what led up to this fight, and without further ado, let's hop into the breakdown. Also, to keep it fresh, there's going to be some new concepts talked about in this video because it is MMA. But to be honest, it's mainly just striking. There's really almost no wrestling in this fight besides some grappling in the clinch. But yeah, I feel like that's the last thing I really had to say before we actually get into the real breakdown. Immediate open stance. First thing I notice is Ank is not as aggressive with the lead hand play as Periera, probably because he doesn't have a background in kickboxing. Alex uses hand feint to distract from a signature sweep kick to break Ankalaev's base. You're going to see a lot of that in that fight, a lot of low kicks. He also uses a false step to make it seem like he's kicking Ank with his rear leg. Also, I just very quickly, I'm not going to be commenting. I will not be commenting as much when a fighter breaks his base. Isn't it as important in MMA because fighters can sprawl to defend takedowns and more devastating attacks. Good knee feint from Ank and does low kick of his own on Alex. Periera attempts a spinning back kick. Ank uses the classic Soviet pendulum bounce to slip Periera's kick. And now you're seeing the coalition of boxing and MMA with that pendulum bounce being something that Loma and Usyk and Bivol frequently use, being the best examples that come to mind. Ank grabs Alex's lead hand and lands sharp overhand left, a good example of physical controls in MMA. Then they start wrestling, or so I thought, but they don't, so I'm just skipping over that. Good level change by Ank in the jab just to keep Periera guessing where his next attack will be. No setup, but catches Periera stepping in, lands huge front kick. Ank uses feint and blinder to land 1-2 on Periera. Then Periera responds with 1-2 of his own. 1-2 controlling the line from Ank, then gets off the line and lands sharp overhand left on Alex. Good blocks from Periera to evade hand flurry from Ank. Good blocks from Periera to evade hand flurry from Ank. Good forward shift flurry from Ankalaev. Feint, forward shift into orthodox and overhand left. Rocks Periera, almost drops him to the mat. At this point, Ank is attacking Alex's lead leg with both of his legs, trying to ruin his base to set up a takedown. More of the same at this point from previous exchanges. Only difference is Ank had a failed takedown attempt. Great clinch and devastating knee to the ribs from Ank. At this point, Ankalaev, I should say, starts to dominate Periera and beating him at his own game. Periera being the striker and Ank being more proficient in Sambo, which is wrestling basically. Obviously, there's going to be people correcting me, saying it's not wrestling and there's submissions. Bro, who gives a shit? We're not even talking about that. We're simply talking about the striking in this fight because 95% of this fight was fought on the feet, thankfully. So a boxer like me can actually break it down. Kicks just being another form of a strike. But let's continue. Even though I said I would not be covering the wrestling, very good but failed takedown attempt from Magomed. He uses a sweep kick to try to completely break Periera's base and almost takes him down. Really shows the strength of Ankalaev despite being the smaller man. It also drills the point home of even when it takes it really drives the point home of Ankalaev's dominance, that even though that was his 10th takedown, that was his 10th failed takedown attempt, A, he broke Periera's base, B, he made Periera waste energy trying to defend the takedown, and C, forced Periera to regain his composure and possibly set up either another takedown or another good flurry, and yes, broke his base in a disadvantageous way to Periera. Magomed finally shoots for a determined takedown on Alex and starts kicking out the knees of Alex. It's only a matter of time before Magomed takes him down. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. I'm just going to go briefly over this point because I kind of wrote down a little too much with some of these points. Periera's doing a very good job defending Magomed's takedowns, and he's sprawling his base and making his base wider. Great wrist control from Periera to defend the takedowns of Magomed. Also sidebar, apparently you don't even have to take somebody down to get control time or riding time, whatever you want to call it. Basically, for the sake of this video and for the sake of not saying pause every 5 seconds or getting comments about this shit, I'm just going to call it control time. You don't have to take somebody down technically to get control time. All you need to do is either grapple them or get them in the clinch against the fence or in a disadvantageous position. Probably if you're up against the fence, it's going to be harder to take them down because guys like to grab onto the fence, cheat, get called for it, try to do anything they can to not get taken down by like wrestlers, especially wrestlers that know Sambo. And technically, at least up to this point in the fight, Ankalaev got 3 minutes of control time. Another classic Soviet 1-2 from Magomed. The only difference this time is the overhand right lands right on the buttock and rocks Periera. Good shit from Magomed. You might be noticing as the viewer why I'm not commenting as much. Well, it's more of the same, but the only difference is that Periera is defending the takedowns less good now, and he's hanging on for dear life to not get taken down, and he's essentially hanging on for dear life because he doesn't want to either get taken down or half taken down and give Ankalaev more control time in addition to the dominant striking of Ankalaev, or he doesn't want to get submitted, which would be embarrassing. And yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the technical breakdown. I had another point, but you know, that point's basically superfluous, and I'm not going to mention it. Outro / final thoughts. While Periera didn't get completely destroyed in this fight, one thing for sure, two things for certain: if he comes in with the same game plan of a lazy and ineffective jab in the jab joust, leg kicks, etc., he's sure to lose to Ankalaev in the rematch. Magomed didn't even have to use his sambo that often to dominate Periera. Alex needs to come correct next time or he will never get his belt back. Facts. You guys let me know if this is the kind of video you want to see in the future. This is Fightsci signing out. Chama. Oh, who the fuck was that?